Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett just faced an unprecedented direct threat from a former Attorney General, Pam Bondi, on national television. Bondi's appearance on Fox News, seemingly using the authority of the justice system to issue a warning, triggered this explosive response. This is no longer about left versus right politics, Crockett states. This is a life or death fight for right versus wrong.
That we are supposed to be writing laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. All I know is that a great American hero, a good senator out of New Jersey, said something to the effect yesterday as he was shattering the record for holding the floor, a record that had been held by another racist in this country. As he shattered that, he said something about the fact that this should not be about left versus right. It should be about right versus wrong. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong. The reason that we are struggling right now in this country as it relates to people not trusting agencies, honestly, a lot of it is because of elected leaders. Let me tell you, one of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country. And I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric, and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear, because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way. To have the sitting Attorney General go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me. To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me, it was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information, and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm gonna say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else. And yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law. The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong. This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman, that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm gonna walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me, and that is what it looks like to serve. Thank you.
Crockett cut straight to the core issue. The job of Congress is to write laws, not to use the floor for political litigation. She declares that the relentless, divisive rhetoric from powerful elected leaders, like Bondi, is the cancer that has caused public trust to collapse. This weaponization of language fuels the terrifying surge in death threats against sitting members of Congress, regardless of party. Bondi's on-air threat is a textbook example of selective enforcement and political retribution. Crockett went further, calling out the sheer arrogance of a former Attorney General issuing a threat to a sitting member of Congress who simply exercised her right to free speech. She emphasizes that Bondi, as a high-ranking former law enforcement agent, should understand the gravity of politicizing the Justice Department. This selective use of power, where certain individuals are threatened while real crimes go uninvestigated, shows a system that is fundamentally broken and operating on retribution. Crockett insists that the country is being torn apart because its leaders can no longer agree on basic decency. She demands a justice system that investigates actual crime, not one that is leveraged to intimidate opponents. Do you think political threats from former officials like Pam Bondi should face investigation? Let us know your immediate thoughts in the comments below and hit that like button to support free speech. She uses her own story as a public defender to underscore the commitment needed for true service. This is the moment a true leader stands tall. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is fearlessly defending the rule of law and the constitutional rights of every American against the highest levels of political intimidation. She is making it perfectly clear: the fight for justice doesn't stop, even when faced with the unmasking of political warfare.